Hello and welcome to another midweek action of Championship predictions from the Unsported Podcast. I'm Craig Savage and with me as always is Daniel Cody and Charlie Betts. Let's have a quick recap of matchday 41 where only one perfect score and that was Charlie Betts' Watford 2, Reading 0. And he pretty much had a good weekend. He got up to 8 points, the odd points down the table as you can see. Me and Cody, not too bad. We both got 5 points each. So the table looks like this. I'm on 302 with 52 perfect scores. Daniel Cody is on 285 with 46 perfect scores. And Charlie Betts is on 257 with 35 perfect scores. The points are still all to play for. And let's go into this crucial week of Championship at the top and the bottom of the table. Let's start off with Huddersfield. They are at home to Bournemouth. Charlie, Bournemouth, very good win against Coventry. Huddersfield, a 0-0 draw against a team that's down there. Do you see that as a positive or negative?
Well, what's gone in their favour is the results around them. Obviously, Sheffield Wednesday, which we'll get onto in a minute. Wickham, as you boys will probably obviously have quite enjoyed on Saturday as well. So teams around them have lost. Obviously, Birmingham was a bit of a curveball in that sense, but they kept the same gap between them and Rotherham. So we did allude to it in the prediction show that although Huddersfield are on the slide, their home form is much better than their away form. I mean, away from home, they are, I'm trying to be polite, but they're not the greatest side in the league by any stretch, you know. But one win in 5, but their other 4 have been draws. So I don't know how you approach this one. Bournemouth are on the flip side of it, a good win against Coventry, but we have said this as well, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Bournemouth because it was a cracking win, but Coventry away from home have been pretty hopeless, to be brutally honest. So yes, it's a good win, but it's an expected win, and you would expect the team like Bournemouth to have won that. So I think Huddersfield are going to play for a draw because I think a draw might be enough now, the gap between them and we're going to talk about Rotherham and the games they've got. So I don't think it's going to be a lot of goals. I'm going to bottle it. Championship's favourite scoreline 1-1.
Cody?
I don't think I can do that. I know Huddersfield are unbeaten in a while at home, but they've been far from convincing. I've got to say, Jonathan Woodgate, albeit as Charlie says, they're the games I'd expect to win, probably bar the Swansea one, who'd have hit at a good time. They have been good and they've been brilliant in front of goal, which is the thing we thought Woodgate might struggle with. His Middlesbrough team was quite defensive prior to the end of his spell, but he is bringing Bournemouth into form. We've talked about it so many times, haven't we? They're now in 6th. They've now got that pressure on them of you're expected to be there. And what reactions that going to cause? I actually think Bournemouth are going to react well to it because they've got an experienced squad, they've got good players, and Huddersfield still don't look like scoring many. So I'm going to go for Bournemouth to win it by 2-0, and I think they're going to finish either 3rd or 4th now. They're on form at the right time.
Yeah, I totally agree. Right form, right time. 4 straight wins now in the league, so that's promising. If winning this game in hand gets them to 71, that does go above Barnsley. It depends who you want to place in the playoffs. It's quite tight at the moment to decide who should play who. Huddersfield, yeah, got the point. I think that might just be enough. It depends on, obviously, Rotherham, who we're going to speak about in a minute. But I don't see them win this game. I'm going to go Bournemouth to win 1-0. Up next at Hillsborough is Sheffield Wednesday versus Swansea. Daniel Cody. Sheffield Wednesday got battered at QPR, but Swansea broke the streak with a convincing 3-0 win.
They did. Swansea were very good, very professional, job done. The Sheffield Wednesday one I'm a little bit conflicted on because they were obviously brilliant against Cardiff. Then that result stands out the opposite way, but there were some awful bits of defending, quite frankly. And otherwise, they dominated the match in terms of shots. They had 18 shots, only hit the target twice. And you just feel if they can continue to create chances and if they can just be more solid defensively, particularly at home, they'll get another win. And we said this last week when the Cardiff game come up. This is do or die territory for Sheffield Wednesday. If they don't win this game against Swansea, I would say they're probably down, given the fact that the other teams have played less games. So I'm going to go for Sheffield Wednesday to win it by 2-1. I think it's going to be scrappy, but I think they'll win it. I think they have to.
I don't think they'll win it. I think Swansea obviously got that win. It was a very good win. It needed to happen against a good Millwall team. We don't rarely lose at home anyway, Millwall this season. So took the chance. Well, it felt like Swansea a couple of months ago, and that was probably a pleasing thing for Steve Cooper on this side. Sheffield Wednesday, yeah, obviously, I generally think that 5-0 game was a fluke, an utter fluke, because you don't win 5-0 one week and then you lose 4-1 the next. So that's a disappointing thing about that. Because if you go for a 5-0 win, you think you would obviously push on and have that little bit of momentum, but they've gone back to square one again. So I think Swansea will win this game 2-0. Charlie?
I'll tell you where I am with this, genuinely, is when Wednesday, like I said, Dan nicked my stat of the 18 shots, etc. But whatever happens with Darren Moore, the first thing he has to do is get a striker. I think, to be honest, I know that they've got defensive worries and, there's been issues there. But most games, you saw it even when they played, Luton obviously gave away that lead. They do create a lot of chances. It's just nothing at their end. What I would say, and I agree with Dan a little bit on this, is Swansea, albeit, yes, a very good win against Millwall, and I'll give them that. But Millwall, notoriously, in the last 4 or 5 games before that, would have 2, maybe 3 shots on target. Shots in total, in the whole game. Swansea gave them 12. And now, admittedly, that was a bit of impotency for Millwall, that only got 2 on target and obviously didn't score any. But what I'm saying is, it's that principle. I still think Swansea are a bit defensively, a bit looser than what they would like to be. And I just think, like you say, maybe they have to throw everything at it. I'm splitting down the middle, but I think I want to keep a bit of the championship will go down to the final sort of game of the season. It's that kind of season. So I'm going to back a Wednesday win. 3 goals to 1. They're going to show up again because they're at home. Darren Moore special, 3-1.
We'll stick with Yorkshire with a Rotherham double header. Their first game on Tuesday night, it is against Queen's Park Rangers. Charlie, tough game for them. They didn't pick up the win against another Yorkshire side in Huddersfield. These 2 games this week will define their season.
Oh, absolutely. And I think you two have been a lot more vocal about that, but not just to find the season, it's the number of games in days, which I'm sure we'll talk about and we'll come to their second game in a second. But yeah, the thing is, as I say, of the 2 teams on Saturday, obviously, yes, it's a point, but other teams around them have won. And really, you need to be beating those teams around you. So I don't know where to go with this because QPR, as much as they beat Sheffield Wednesday 4-1, and we've just spoken about that, and it's a fantastic performance, they do have this ability to then just throw the next one away. And they're away from home. And QPR largely, on the whole, have been better at home. It's a midweek game up in Yorkshire. Looking at the weather, probably not going to be great. Are QPR going to fancy it? I'm going to go for no, but I'm going to tell you why maybe in the next one with Rotherham in the next game. But on this one, I think Rotherham might get enough. So I'm going to go for a very sneaked 1-0 home win for Rotherham.
Cody.
Charlie deserves more than 3 points if it's 1-0 based on these 2's defences this year, to be brutally honest. But we did say this about Rotherham, and it sort of panned out. Immediately after the international break, they were good. And because they're now the only team playing 2, 3, and in this case, 4 games in a week, they are now starting to drift because nobody's got the squad to compete with that, particularly a side near the bottom. And albeit, as Charlie said, the QPR home form has completely switched the last couple of months. They've won every game at home, and now on the road, they're struggling. The Forest performance gives me a worry. As we mentioned, they still conceded 18 shots to Sheffield Wednesday. But I just think that Rotherham are going to be as bad at the back. So I think this is going to be a thriller. And I think, unfortunately, it will be the game that relegates Rotherham. I'm going to go for 2-2. And if they don't win the first game of 3 games in 5 days, probably that's the end of it for them.
I'm going to go for the second game in a second. But I think QPR obviously a bit better, obviously a lot better than Coventry at the moment. So, but Charlie did point out the inconsistencies there. But I'm going to play safe down the middle. I'm going to go for a championship favourite scoreline of 1-1. But Rotherham's second game is against Coventry on Thursday night. Cody, Coventry, inconsistency again, and they're drifting down, and now they've got the second worst goal difference.
Yeah, and away from home, they have been diabolical. And the reason I've sort of gone for a draw on Rotherham is I'm on the thought process that they're going to maybe rotate the squad and target this one as their victory. I don't know if it'll pan out, and I don't know if it'll be enough. Judging the fatigue is going to be the hardest bit. But if Rotherham are anywhere near their best, they will win at home to Coventry because Coventry on the road are one of the worst performers in the league. And the way they've started conceding goals, we talked about their lack of a sort of clinical edge up top. The fact that they're now conceding 2, 3 and 4 in their last 3 away games is a real cause for concern. Rotherham, as well as having the award for being the first ever double appearance in one of our predictions, are also going to get 4 points out of the 2 games, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Rotherham are going to win by 3-1.
Charlie?
Yeah, I have to agree with Dan in terms of being goals. I just can't see where Coventry are going to get a win from. They've kept 1 clean sheet away from home all season. That was on the 26th of September, a 0-0 draw with Barnsley. I mean, that's how long ago we're talking. So what you will guarantee, hopefully, is goals for the neutral. The thing is, we're in a difficult position where we're trying to predict the second game off of the momentum of the first one. So I've gone for, obviously, Rotherham to win that first one. So I think, although there'll be the element of fatigue, I think the momentum and the confidence of getting a win on Tuesday against a team who are lacking in confidence, because albeit, yes, they might have picked up a win a couple of games ago, that would have hurt them on Saturday, losing quite convincingly as well, to be brutally honest. And away from home, I can't see where they're going to get anything from. But I do think there'll be a goal for Coventry. But I think they'll fold. I genuinely think they'll fold. I know this sounds silly. What happens to Rotherham after this week will be interesting. But I think this week will be a good week for them. So I'm going to go for a massive 4-1 Rotherham win.
I think we'll have to go in agreement of a Rotherham win against Coventry. Coventry, I just don't think they've got anything left in them, unfortunately. And I think they might have to rely on home wins. So I don't think that's going to be enough this season for them. I'm also going to go the same route as Daniel Cody, 4 points in 2 games, which is not bad. It adds the pressure because they still got one more game in hand. So it can probably work out in their favour. If they're even 4 points, it would be good. So I'm going to go Rotherham to win 2-0. And let's have a quick recap of what we just predicted. Me and Cody think Rotherham are going to get 4 points out of 6. Charlie Betts is going for 6 out of 6 for Rotherham. And we both think that Bournemouth at least get a point against Huddersfield. And those are our predictions for this midweek. Do you agree with us or disagree with us? Let us know in the comment section down below. And give us your thoughts from Rotherham. Do you think they've survived? Yes or no? Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the Honest Football Podcast, and you can follow us on Twitter at HonestFootball3. And we'll see you next time.